Capcom has been making bank on their remakes of classic Resident Evil games. The RE2 remake was phenomenal, and while the RE3 remake was a bit of a step back, they quickly got back on track with 2023's remake of RE4, which was not only one of the best reviewed games of the entire year, but also landed itself on the ballot for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Fans are eager to learn about what Capcom has in store for the future of the series, because obviously RE9 is in development, but with how much success the RE remakes have generated, it seems clear that the studio wants to keep the ball rolling on those. So where to next? Resident Evil 5 was a bit of a controversial game, so it's not entirely clear if Capcom wants to just keep remaking the numbered installments in order, but prior to the release of RE5, there were a ton of Resident Evil spin-offs, some of which ended up becoming fan favorites, and according to a new leak, we now not only know which Resident Evil game is getting remade next, but we have some actual gameplay details from a supposed playtester who got their hands on an early build. So let us know in the comments what you think about this potential new remake, drop a like on this video, and let's get into the news. So our leak comes from 4chan, and you should know the drill by now regarding 4chan leaks. Since the site is totally anonymous, there are a ton of fake leaks that get started here, but since there have also been countless examples of entirely legitimate leaks that get posted on the forums, and to be honest, this one sounds more legitimate than most, we can take this with a grain of salt and not completely write it off right out of the gate. But a lengthy post recently appeared on the video game board of 4chan, and we touched it up a bit since the original poster admits that English isn't their first language, but the post read like this. Quote, "Warning, my English skills are somewhat bad. I'm Japanese. My friend is helping me to write this as best I can. I was a tester during a recent playtest of Biohazard Code RE Veronica. It is known as Resident Evil Code Veronica in the West. I'm going to share some info about the project. It is 4chan, I think it will go unnoticed. It is a story about Claire Redfield on Rockfort Island. It's a third-person game similar to the Resident Evil 2 remake. I played only a short demo provided by the developers to test and give feedback to new mechanics. The game starts with a prologue where Claire remembers Raccoon City. We see an explosion. Claire is looking for her brother, and we start with a slow-paced tutorial section inside an Umbrella Corporation building. The player controls Claire as she goes into some offices, and after she escapes from some guards, she's captured and sent to Rockford. The prison area is vast, with many cells and guards' rooms. A new character, Ricardo, lets her go, and she encounters a military man in a black suit, but he is killed by falling debris from the explosion. The island is attacked and Claire escapes, but right at the end of the prison section, she meets with Steve in his cell. He asks her to let him out, and Claire is hesitant, but decides that if he is against the Umbrella Corporation, then he is no enemy. They escape together and enter some kind of safe room. Here the player can freely switch between Claire and Steve and can explore the next area as either character. Each character has their own set of skills. Claire is better with knives and her aim with guns is better and faster because of a system called point aim. Steve can use two guns at the same time and runs faster but cannot mix herbs. He can also throw knives from a distance at enemies. Claire is also better at puzzles since she can give the player advice on how to solve them and sometimes see hidden items around the map. Steve can use stealth and knows some passwords in the complex so he doesn't have to hunt for them. The demo ends when they get to the palace. That is all I want to share. So what do you think of all this? Assuming the leak is legitimate, the next Resident Evil remake is going to be Code Veronica, which initially came out in the year 2000 for the Dreamcast and then was ported to the PS2 the following year. As far as Resident Evil spin-offs go, Code Veronica is seen as one of the better ones, and some even consider it to be one of the best games in the entire franchise. It's a much more horror-oriented game than Resident Evil 4 and RE Village, so it could be the answer to the recent criticisms that Capcom is once again making Resident Evil a bit too action-heavy. If the reports of a playtest are legit, there should be an announcement within the next year or so. If Capcom reveals this thing in 2024, I'm expecting a launch in 2025, but that also raises some questions as to where RE9 is on the timeline. Up to this point, Capcom has been more or less going back and forth between mainline RE games and remake RE games, and since RE Village launched in May of 2021, I'm guessing Capcom wants to get RE9 out soon, especially since the RE4 remake was one of the biggest hits of 2023, but then again, there was a 4-year wait between RE7 and 8. And the remakes of RE2 and 3 were released during that 4-year gap, just 16 months apart from one another, so I guess it's entirely possible that Code Veronica's remake is coming out before RE9. Regardless, I think Code Veronica is a great choice for a modern Capcom remake, and I'm really hoping this leak ends up being legit, because it sounds like an awesome update to a classic game that a lot of modern gamers hadn't got the chance to enjoy. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any future gaming updates, and we'll see you in the next video.